Number 4 on the agenda is the agreement between St. Clair County and local rescues for temporary housing for at-risk animals. Jim, did you want to speak on this?
I think Lisa drafted it if she wants to
Okay.
speak on it, Lisa.
Pursuant to new language in the statute that was effective January 1st of this year.
Excuse me, could you
Yeah,
speak
yeah,
up?
we're okay.
Can't hear you at all.
Come out.
Could you come into the room?
Yeah, pursuant to an amendment to the statute that was effective January 1st of this year, we've drafted an agreement. I believe everyone's in agreement on that, which would allow for temporary and potentially permanent placement of pregnant animals, cats and dogs, to any of the rescue facilities. And I think we may have even had a couple already do that. So Jim will be in charge of that, and we'll work with any of the rescue groups that are interested in.
Yeah, we'll get a copy of all the rest of the agreement.
I don't think we need a motion. It was really more informative. The statute gives the animal control director, Jim's got authority to do that, and I drafted the agreement. I think we're good to go on it.
Anybody have any questions?
Does that include puppies and kittens, or did you just say pregnant?
Yes, it
Okay.
includes puppies.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're up to open discussion. So, please stand and identify yourself, and your city will be fine.
Okay, my name is Michelle Walpole. Excuse me. I live in Ludlow. I have a question. Is the equipment installed in the trucks for the Chameleon, and is the Chameleon being used? Yes.
We're picking up the first truck tomorrow. We finished it today, so.
So then is Chameleon being used in the
Well,
facility
There's
yet?
gonna be a training period on that, as far as the kennel management.
Computers are in, takes about a day to put the equipment in. Since all the trucks are in service, we gotta take one out of service for a day, so we're gonna rotate them in, and it should be a week or so that all the equipment should be installed.
And when will training start?
As soon as data processing schedules this, we're gonna do it in their training room, so that's usually pretty quick. We'll do one guy at a time or two guys at a time. I think the girls in the office are pretty much familiar with it already, so.
Are they using it?
But we use it in our adoption center.
Right, but on the other side, you're still not using it?
No, we haven't started using it. For registration, that's what Chameleon was purchased for, was our pet registrations. I know I keep reading where we spent $9,000 and just don't use it, which is the furthest thing from the truth, because we bought it to do our pet registrations, which generates over $400,000 a year. So that $9,000 we spent on that has been generating $400,000 a year since we purchased it.
But given that it does so much more,
Are
Right,
you-
that's what I was gonna
You're
ask.
planning on using it to do
Yes.
more and track
Yes.
numbers and things?
Yes.
But
I don't- I
can the staff use that in the office now without, I mean, they can use all those other functions now?
Well, they're gonna go to training also to do the kennel management, because there's a lot of things. I know you think that Chameleon automatically generates reports.
No, I don't think that. I know how that, I understand how, you have to learn how to use the
Well,
software.
not only that, once we decide what kind of reports we want generated, there has to be crystal reports made to do those through Chameleon. They're just not there. You have to make
Right.
them yourself.
Right.
Right.
But that, I mean, they could be doing that in the office already though, but we just haven't done the training for that yet. Okay.
Have you guys looked into, I'm sorry, Dennis and Don, do that? Have you guys looked into whether they have ad hoc reporting in Chameleon, like where you can create your own reports, or?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
But I mean, creating your own reports in ad hoc, I IT help that stuff, but most platforms will have a pretty easy setup. They'll have a base set of reports that come with the product, and then they'll have an ad hoc set that you
I'm,
can
I'm
set
sure it
up. I mean,
does.
it's not
I'm not a
from
data
scratch.
processing person per se, but, we do have a department that does that, and they're gonna write the reports.
Okay, so there's a plan in place for,
Yeah.
okay.
Sheila
Anyone else?
Ford from Shiloh. I was just wondering, we've asked about this before. We'll actually be getting her own email so that she can work, with rescues to network out the animals. That's something we've discussed for over several months.
I do it all through Facebook Messenger, or Facebook or text messaging or phone call.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
something
that's
she's
pretty
never
much-
really requested to have. And you guys have brought it up, but I've asked her about it, and she's pretty comfortable with the way she's doing it now.
I mean, I don't know how much more emails would help me. I think Facebook Messenger is pretty good with the way that we network the animals with Stray Angels, and it's a one-time thing. I mean, I wouldn't have access to Facebook on my computer, so I'd rather just probably do it from my phone, and I make the phone calls to the rescues that I make contact with, and I think it works well the way that it is.
Can I ask a question? What rescues do you make contact with that way?
Through your phone,
Yeah, through your, however you're doing it now.
Partners for Pets, Humane Society, APA, Helping Strays of Monroe County, Hope Rescue. I mean, pretty much anybody that if I need help, I just start calling the people that I don't normally, but APA, Partners for Pets, Humane Society, and Helping Strays of Monroe County are first on my list.
Cindy Campbell from Belleville. You have a contract with Belleville Animal Clinic, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you explain how that is, how they are picked, how much dollar-wise the contract is for, what that covers, and so forth? Does it go out for bid? How does it all work?
No, it's a professional contract, I don't believe it needs to go to bid, does it?
And it's about 19,000 a year?
Yeah.
And what does that cover?
19,500. It covers all the medical services that go through well, Jim, you go.
Yeah, it covers all the vaccinations, the rabies vaccinations, final exams on 5 cases. They're in our facility every day. They do a walkthrough
I
the
understand,
facility.
but it's their choice to vaccinate or spend the money or not, right? They get this pool of money, and
No, not at all.
No.
The only vaccinations they do in our facility are rabies vaccinations, which is
Okay.
required by law.
Uh-huh. So they're getting paid that money to do a walkthrough every day? And
And,
that's
and
about
on
it?
call.
And they euthanize.
And they, no, they
Well,
don't take
So it's just given to them each year, is that right? It's just assumed they're going to get it? Why is that?
Huh?
Why?
We've been happy with it. They've always had at least 5 vets, which in the past, prior to them, we had trouble getting a vet there. We had a contract with Dr. Lindauer. We had a mobile vet service. Well, if she get tied up on something, we go a whole day without vet service. They have 5 vets at BAC. They're always available to us, day or night.
And if they see an animal in trouble, what do they do?
If they think it needs medical attention, then they tell us. If they think it needs to go to their clinic, it goes to their clinic.
And is there any criteria that they base trouble on?
That's a medical.
Bleeding?
No, that's a
anything?
medical thing. I don't know what their
Well, it
veterinary
would kind of be good
criteria
to
is.
know, I would think. Contracts
Yeah,
with them.
could we get answers to
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
to that question,
Yeah.
a detailed maybe from
Sure, I mean,
Belleville
for the
Animal
most
Clinic?
part, what they do is pain management for most animals we get.
Yeah.
We really don't have
Yeah.
the ability to treat an animal that's not ours unless it's a life-threatening situation. Because
Is-
we don't have custody of those animals.
Is a phone call, I'm sorry, I just don't know the procedure. If you see an animal in trouble and the vet that we have contract with, can't treat that animal, is somebody else called in to maybe take the animal?
No, if they can't get there, we take the animal to them,
To who?
BAC.
Okay, but you just said they can't treat, they're not allowed to do a certain amount of treatment.
Well, they're not, but if it's a pain management, like we get animals hit by cars all the time, some more severe than others.
But I mean, is a rescue organization called in at that point then? to help.
And we have done that in the past. Partners for Pets is really good about taking injured
Is
or
it-
sick animals.
But do you automatically put out a call then? You see these animals, all you can do, it's a dog that's critically injured or suffering, and you can just do pain management. At what point, is there a criteria that automatically you put out a help call?
That would be a vet decision. They would tell us what they think needs to be done.
It just seems like there's a lot of gray area in that whole thing. Seems kind of fuzzy. So, maybe more detail on that would really be appreciated.
Regarding that contract, you said it was a professional contract, but wouldn't it be a contract entered with a government entity? Because it's between the county and a vet.
But I don't think, Lisa, you can speak to that. She's an independent contractor.
But everybody's asking, why doesn't it go out to bid? We don't understand. Isn't that a requirement? It is not. They're saying no.
Because of the amount. I think it has to be over $30,000, and this is something $3.5. So there's no
Okay.
legal requirement to go out.
What kind of, we have other people that have their hands raised first.
My name's Brittany, I'm from Belleville. I just had a question on like humane care cases that are pulled from there. How do you, like some of them need medical attention like immediately that maybe you can't see, like if you're just physically looking at them, like they're not bleeding, they're not, but they're in some type of failure. How can you just say they're not in your custody, but letting them sit there for months at a time on.
But no animal sits in our facility.
Well, there was a dog that sat
No.
there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
renal failure.
Yeah, renal failure, yeah.
Well,
No, wait, I don't know if you know the facts about that. That dog was in our facility for 25 days.
no, that's
10 of
Yeah,
them,
that's a lot.
let me explain.
No treatment.
10 of those days, it was a police impoundment. That dog was taken out of a home.
I get that.
On the 10th day, that dog was made available. And it sat there for 15 days with nobody wanting that dog. And in that same period of time, rescues took 27 dogs from our facility. So it's not like that dog wasn't available.
Okay, but instead of blaming the rescue,
No, I'm not blaming the rescue
vet
because
have been said,
I understand they have
this
to
dog
make
is in-
choices like everybody
but
else.
to me, it's the vet,
It
the
was the
vet
vet's
should have,
responsibility.
the vet's responsibility, because to me, it should have seen that dog is
The dog's sick.
suffering,
The dog was sick.
and
pretty
they should
obvious.
have said something. I'm not blaming you guys, and I'm not blaming a rescue for not pulling them. I'm saying that's a problem with the vet, like,
But
if that
there's no
dog's.
way a vet could tell if the dog's in renal failure.
Every one of us here saw that dog.
Saw the picture of that dog.
Two vets, and they both
We're
said
not
it.
That needs
there.
glasses on.
It
took them
10
minutes.
Every one of us, Jim, every one of us could tell, seriously, that dog was in physically poor condition.
And I agree with
It
you.
was more than just being hungry.
Well, why was it left then?
Huh?
Why was the dog treated?
Well, the dog was, it had two options. Either a rescue was taken or it was going to be put out.
I thought, well,
So the veterinarian would not treat it, you're saying?
No.
She refused to treat it.
She didn't refuse to treat it. She was never asked to treat it. That's something that falls out
But
of
she
her.
Why?
should have seen that.
Isn't there?
She goes there every day.
That's part of her job.
Okay, let's one at a time talk, please.
Well, there's a consensus.
And
What we're saying is all the
do you
same.
see now why people are concerned about the vet? Because we point these things out, you defend the vet, and we're not understanding why there isn't an option to see if there's someone else that would like to bid on the contract, because there might be.
And you think that a vet, what would they have done? They would have had to take that animal out of there, correct?
Well, they could have euthanized her.
Or treat, either
And that
euthanize or
was an
treat.
option. But there were people that wanted to try to place her. Ashley, for one.
Felt sorry for the dog. I thought it would have been a better thing to do would to try to get her into a rescue than to have her euthanized. I felt bad for her. She obviously had a horrible life. I mean, was it bad of me to let the dog sit there for 15 days? Probably, but did I know that she had renal failure?
No, and that's
No.
That's why it's the veterinarian's
But you guys say that there were
responsibility.
two vets who looked at that animal. We had pictures posted of her on Stray Angel's website. We had a video posted of her on Stray Angel's website. but nobody called and said, hey, do you think that dog should need, you know,
You have
get
a
some
vet
sort of
that
medical
should have
attention?
pointed it out.
Yeah,
There's a
but
vet
that's
under
what
the
you're
contract that was
How
looking
many
at that
dogs-
dog.
Why should
Why
we
should you
have
have to
options?
say
Do you
it?
want the dog euthanized, or do you want it to try to go to a rescue?
I want the vet to find out what's wrong.
I mean, I could walk through.
Yeah.
Give me the contract, I can walk through and say, oh,
Looking at all those
everything
items.
looks fine.
That's
Dog
what
might
she's
be
getting.
sick.
I think the point here is that it both could have been accomplished. You could have tried to do something for the dog, even if it's pain management or something, in a vet saying, listen, this is the condition the dog is in. We either have to act quick and put the word out as part of their normal duties of doing their daily inspection. Why are you gonna pay for a daily inspection and then say, you know, this happens to this poor animal that, you know, you go through, you say, you know, let's try to get it adopted. But in the meantime, let's let it suffer. You can do both. You can help the animal and still push to try to get it adopted. That's the point that everybody here is thinking. In the defensive posture, and why people get so upset about it, is because instead of saying, you know, we'll look at that case and we'll move forward from it, it's, well, what do you want us to do? We want you to think outside the box a little bit, just a little bit. You're making progress. Some people are talking about some good things. That's great, but it's still this defensive posture. Instead of saying it could have, yeah, things could have went better. You could stop at that. I think most people would say, okay, that's progress. But this defensive stance where, you know, gets people emotional. I'm an animal lover. I get emotional. I know you said you're an animal lover too, but you got to put let's try not to admit that we make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's part of being a human. I mean, every department makes mistakes. I can surely point out some of the mistakes your department's made. But we're past that. Let's start talking about how we can do things, how we can admit, hey, it's not always going to be perfect. From this point forward, we're probably going to make some steps. There's probably going to be some missteps. But stop being so defensive about it.
Change of attitude. Yes.
Jeannie Belleville, you were saying a while ago that we're talking about this dog and didn't get it the medical help. To me, it came from abuse, and you guys abused it some more by not getting it medical help. I mean, you've seen what kind of home it came out of, how bad a shape it was when you pulled it. I mean, I'm sure there's charges against these people for animal abuse, right?
I don't know what the police did. It took them 10 days to release the animal.
Okay, so they got the dog out of a bad situation. You done said that. But yous aren't no different. You're putting it right into another one when you're supposed to be there for the animals. You know, I mean, you're either there for the animals or you don't like animals. One of the two. Because why would you do? I've seen pictures of that dog. You know, I wish somebody would have brought a big poster in here of what that dog looked like, so all these people up here on the board know what we're talking about. It's sad. You know, you're letting animals suffer there when you have a vet that's not doing her job at all.
And I have a related question. What was the vet doing on her walkthrough while this dog was here?
What do you mean, what was she?
Well, she's walking through the kennel and apparently she isn't seeing a dying dog. I'm really curious exactly what she's doing. Because I gotta tell you, the first night we were here, I wasn't impressed. I left her practice because of her. And I will tell you, after hearing about this other dog, I'm firmly cemented in that decision. And I wanna know, how do you have a vet who stands there and walks by a dog who's dying and walks on? And further, how you know this is the case and you don't bring it to her attention and say, we're only paying you this much, but can you get this dog some fluids or something? How do you stand there and do that? I'd like an answer.
Well, the only answer I have is, number one, I don't make medical decisions in the building.
Apparently your vet doesn't either.
Well, who's in charge?
If you're
Who's
in charge,
you can call. If you're not in charge, then who's in charge?
Right. Who's gonna make that call?
Who's in charge then?
I mean, I know what
You're
would
not
have
in
been said.
charge?
No, I know what would have been said. She would have recommended putting the dog down. And like I
Okay.
said, that was where we were at.
And the dog
If the dog
should
wasn't
be.
gonna get any help, then it would have been better off for it to be put
Right.
down instead of suffering. But who is in charge here? Who's the number one person here?
Me.
Okay, so you were in charge.
Yes,
Right, so you are responsible.
yes, I guess I am. And
What
again-
can you
and-
do? What can we do to make this situation better? Another animal's gonna be coming in the same situation again. What can we do to stop that animal from suffering? And not just putting it down automatically because you don't want to be blamed, but to get that dog some treatment.
Well, I think, first of all, the vet contract has to be enhanced a great deal.
How do we do that then?
Well, excuse
How do
me,
we
but
do that?
before we go there, I'd like to know exactly what the veterinarian was paid in total last year, because you guys don't even know what her contract is. I read it. And it's not just $19,500.
No, it
Just
it includes vaccinations.
She gets money for every vaccination that goes in the dog, and she charges you 6 times what they cost her, at least. She gets paid, according to the contract. Mr. Kern, am I boring you?
No, I looked at the, representative from the state's attorney.
She gets paid, according to the contract, she gets paid every time a dog gets released from there alive for a live release exam.
No.
$16.
just
Well, then
5
I'd like to
cases.
see what she got paid
Just 5
last year
cases.
in total, so
It's
we can
just
see
5
how.
cases.
And
It's not
$16 every time she vaccinates a dog. The physical action of vaccinating a dog, $16 is charged to the county.
Correct.
Not including the vaccine, correct?
No, we buy the vaccine.
Yeah, you buy the vaccine from her. She charges you $31.50 for a $2.50 rabies shot.
We buy most of our vaccines come from MedVet.
From where?
MedVet.
Okay. And do you know, I mean, what are they costing you if you're not getting them through her?
Well, I'd have to go back and look what the last order was. I think Zotis, we bought the last ones from Zotis.
Okay, so I'm just
But we
saying, I'd
shop
like to
that.
see the
We just don't.
entirety of what was paid to Belleville Animal Clinic last year by the county.
Absolutely.
Do I have to do a Freedom of Information Act to get that?
And how much was the vet was paid in total?
Exactly.
Get the full report, and how
Yeah,
much
because
the
you can
vet
come
was
in at
paid.
19,000 to avoid having to get it bid out, you can put all these à la carte services in there and top that with no problem.
Can we get that, or do I have to file something to get it?
I'd have to go to the auditor's office.
No, I'm asking the board chairman. Sure which? That's
We
like.
don't have the numbers, we'll
a
put the
Trump
numbers
answer.
together like everything else. You know, I think, and I just wanna make sure everybody understands, so adoptions are way up this month. We're at a 72% save rate now, which I don't think is a number that really gets out there. Jim and his staff are working real hard. The reason they held on to that animal was because they wanted to try to get that animal adopted out. These are things that I think we need to encourage. This is an attitude that we need to encourage, and they're working towards that. Are there problems? Yeah. And it's a difficult job to get animals that come in that are sick, that have been abused, that have been injured, that have been hit by vehicles, but there's nobody at that entire facility and nobody that sits on this committee that isn't an animal lover and doesn't want to do better. So we meet once a month. We're going to have another meeting again this, I think, Thursday. And so we're talking about these things. We'd love to get to a place where we're no kill. It really would be a great.
Really?
2025.
Wait,
that takes a willingness
That is our
to
goal.
change.
It takes a lot to get there. I'm not
Stop
saying
there.
that this is an instant thing, but I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't like to try to do that. It's been done elsewhere. We're gonna need to work with people who've already done it, but we've had that conversation. And we hope that we can try to get there over a period of years. We're already up to, over 70%, if those numbers hold, and I guess no kill is probably 90%. I don't know what that statistic is. So let's see how we get there. I know we're talking about the cats, and that's, I always point to you, but that's an issue that is gonna need to be worked out, because that's one that has many ramifications. But,
Okay, we're still working on it then.
yeah.
Wanted to know.
Pam Stern from Swansea. I appreciate everything you guys are trying to do here. I'm wanting a change of attitude, a change of heart. I want there to be some compassion. Because I'm telling you right now, if all of us walked out this door, not another thing would be done. You're doing it because we're pushing you to do it. And I don't see a change of attitude from Jim whatsoever. And Ashley has always been on board for rescue. But it has to come from the leader. And until he changes, or until he's made to change, nothing will happen. And we shouldn't have to give up our time to keep coming to these meetings to babysit, to do his job. And that's exactly what we're doing.
So I would say, and Jim can defend himself, but long before these meetings started to happen and you were coming, we built the adoption center. We didn't have anyone come to us and say, hey, St. Clair County needs to get into the adoption business. We put the money forward. Jim helped with the design of that building. The committee worked on it, and some of the members that did it are here, sitting here tonight. The adoption center is a big part of how many animals we're adopting out every month. And how many, Jim, in that facility did we do this month?
So far this year, we've got 171.
So we've done 171 animals out of our adoption center. That was all done, and I'm not disputing anything. I'm just saying that this committee's been working on this, and we appreciate you being here, giving us input. It's only that way, through this conversation, are we gonna be able to deliver the kind of service that you want from us.
The adoption center is never full.
Have you basically reprimanded Jim at all? Have you had to sit down and say, hey, we can't be having this anymore. This has got to stop. Have you done that?
We're all working together in these meetings. Jim, as I said,
So you
with
didn't.
his staff.
So you didn't.
Has a very, well, Jim does a good job at what he does. We're working on.
We wouldn't be here if we did.
Mark,
You would not be here.
171 adoption, was those actually people came in there and adopted, or was that from the rescue pulling dogs?
That's people came in and adopted from St. Clair County, the new animal adoption center.
The new animal
It's not
adoption
really
center
that new,
is
but-
never full. I've been tracking it since May when the website finally got fixed and it was showing 0 all the time because nobody knew to call Chameleon and say, hey, it's not talking to each other. There's been, one day, I think there was 9 animals in the adoption center. After that, it's always been between 4 and maybe once or twice 7, so those cages are never full. For the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been the same 5 animals that have been on the page.
I don't believe it either. I don't believe them. I think it's a lie. I don't think the 171 dogs went out of their
It's
homes.
great that tax dollars are utilized to expand things, and that's all fine and dandy, but if you don't fully utilize it, that's where it comes to. So for most of the people in this room, it's the fact that, progress is great. Forced progress is a lot harder. I broke like crazy and may have broken a lot again here today. Just to try to stand for, I went a little fast, but I had to get here, and I got here late, The problem is that when you stand here, and I came in my first meeting a couple months ago, just listen, figure, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I have relatives in this room, I've made friends within this room that are passionate people and are able to do so many wonderful things. I get it that you guys aren't evil. I'm not here to paint you as evil. I know you've done great things, that's fine. If you've added to any part of the cause, that's wonderful. It's the reluctance to say openly that we can improve in areas that we've pointed out, because for some reason, it's either you're afraid to admit that you're wrong, or that there's room for improvement, or that you just don't care enough to stand up to what you're doing now because, hey, we're gonna cross that check off the box and that's all we gotta do legally. The first meeting I was here, that's what every response was. We legally only have to do this. Then you come, I missed a meeting last month because I just couldn't get off of work. I come to this meeting, there's some progress, but now we still have this resistance of, hey, the vet's doing a good job. Even though we've had cases that have been put out there that would say that it could be better. If you just say, listen, we'll look into it. Short and sweet. Show us what you're talking about. I'm trying to give you advice that's going to keep you out of the hottest water because these people aren't going to give up, neither am I. Just be willing to admit that there's stuff that needs to change, and then leave that change. You just go out there and leave. You want everybody here to be friendly to you? The only thing you can do is lead, because that's what your job is. That's what you get paid for. Yeah, it's one or the other, man. I'm just being 100% honest with you. You can lead the change, or someone else will lead the change, guaranteed.
I have a question. As far as how the board members end up on the board. I mean, is it a voluntary thing? Is it a
These county board members?
Yes.
They're appointed to the committees, the various committees. There's many committees in the county, and this is one that 7 members of the board are appointed to.
Who appoints?
What?
Who appoints?
I do.
You do? So you're gonna chummy with you, I gotta be nicer.
But I mean, they're made up of county board members, is what I'm saying.
And maybe they get
May we
paid?
see again, we went through this the first meeting, but it was too crowded to really know, the last time any of the board members have been in animal control?
I was there about 3 weeks ago for about 2 hours.
Okay.
And the adoption kennels were full that day.
Okay, sir?
Was down there a few months ago.
A few months ago. Sir?
About a month ago, when we were late in leaving Jim's office, and we set off the alarm because everyone was gone.
What do you, and when you're there, what do you do, just walk through?
You go see the dogs?
What I was doing is talking with Jim and seeing what we could do to address the concerns expressed by the group.
Plus, I
Next.
took my daughter down there to look at animals.
Okay, how about you, sir?
It's been several months, but I drove by during the completion of the dog park, checking that out.
Okay.
That looks real nice.
Looks very nice. Okay, next. Anybody else?
And it's been several months for me, but
Okay.
I've had some health issues
Okay.
that prevented me from getting out.
Do you guys get
So you
paid for
asked-
being on the board?
Hold on, so you asked what they did or looked at when they went down there, so I showed up one day. Unexpected, I just knocked on Jim's door. We sat and talked a little bit, we walked the kennels. I was asking him about how they, you guys keep talking about how, they're hosing out when the dogs are in there. And, Jim explained how he moves them around, when space is available, or I believe, I don't know exactly how he moves them around, but he says as much as he can, he moves them to clean them without dogs in the kennel.
But there are still dogs in the kennel being cleaned at the same time,
Yes.
correct?
They're
I
still.
don't know,
And
I
it
wasn't there
still
when
happens.
I wasn't there when they were cleaning them. So then we walked
It
out.
still happens.
So then we walked outside. And I said, Jim and I talked, I said, is there a place somewhere out here that we get additional kennel space to move dogs? So Jim says he's working on it, so I'm gonna hold him to that, and I think.
Well, he said he was working on it, excuse me, at the last meeting. Now, that was a month ago. What
Heard
have you
that since
accomplished
March.
since
What I'm telling you is,
Could've built a
he's
house
working,
right
we're
now.
working
I'm
on
asking
it.
him, what
Well,
have
I'm
you
speaking right
accomplished
now.
in the
I'm
last
speaking right
month
now.
as far as additional kennels?
I'm speaking right now.
Okay.
So, you were wondering what we do when we go through there, so I looked in the adoption center, kennel for full.
Yeah.
We went outside, I talked to Jim about extra kennel space, and I think it's gonna happen, if you wanna know the truth, okay?
If
We
may
went
be
backside, we
honest,
talked
though.
some more, and he explained different adoption things, and I asked him a bunch of questions, and that's what we discussed.
And that wouldn't be a concern, you're not my concern, quite honestly. If the rest of the board was like you, I wouldn't have a problem.
But in everything you just said,
And the
you
director.
verified nothing, you just talked to him, you didn't see anything, you didn't know how he did it, and that's everything that I've heard at the meetings that I've come to.
We talked about the dog park across the street, okay?
So you just checked in with him verbally, you really didn't check off anything or ensure that anything was being done as you said, you just talked.
Jim?
What do you mean? I stopped in to see what's going on there.
So you talked?
Yes, I talked to him, yeah.
Okay.
To the lady on the end, when was actually the last time you were there? Because I remember when I was here 2 months ago, you said the same thing when someone asked you when you were there. You said it was a few months because you had medical problems, couldn't go there. So, has it been 6 months, a year?
Probably more than 6 months.
So that's more than, several months to me is like a couple months. So, like a year?
I was there last year sometime.
So close to a year.
Do you see what we're all doing here? We're asking who's babysitting Jim is what we're doing.
But something should be accomplished in a short amount of time as far as additional kennels. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable to have something in the works.
Well, I met with the building commissioner, we've selected a site. Next Thursday, we're meeting with an architect on how to do that, because we just can't put up kennels, we're gonna have to put up sewer lines and everything else outside. So,
Well,
yeah,
at the
it's-
last meeting, you had indicated weather conditions might prevent
Well,
you from
and
doing
this
that.
will have a roof over it. It won't be enclosed, but it will have a roof over it. We'll have a walkway, that, the weather can't get to, so you won't have people moving animals in ice and snow.
How
Right
many
now,
kennels are there at the facility?
52.
I'm Julia, and I don't live in Illinois, but I'm co-founder of Gateway Pet Guardians that does a lot of work with animal control. I have a couple of questions. Regarding the cleaning in the kennels, it occurred to me when we talked last time that you're having only one person clean at a time. And typically, we use 2 people at the same time cleaning kennels, if I'm not mistaken. I've always seen it that way, where it's, you know, it gets done quicker, and then the 2 of them could just, instead of having 2 people clean at separate times, is it possible to have those 2 clean at the same time? Because then when an issue occurs, like the bite, you have someone there to help, to break up the, you know, getting bit and all that stuff.
We do have 2 people cleaning.
But at the same time, each cage? Oh, awesome. You changed that since last time.
Well, actually, one of them cleans the cattery, and one of them's cleaning the kennels. When the guy gets done with the cattery, he goes and cleans the bite case.
I'm sorry?
After he's done with the cattery, he cleans the bite case kennels, which is a whole different situation.
Okay. So they're still doing it, the guy who does the dogs kennels does it by himself instead of doing 2 at once. Would you consider changing that?
Well,
To make it safer for the workers?
we've made an offer of a job to somebody for that purpose. And right now, he's trying to get his college schedule together. He's a young kid in college.
Okay.
He works part-time for us now.
Great.
And, we're trying to extend his hours so he can come in the morning for that purpose, which would help a lot. Especially once we get outside kennels, it's gonna be a lot more.
Yes.
Because every time we move animals to the outside kennel and clean the inside, once
And
we move
clean
that
the
back
outside.
in, then we've gotta clean the outside before we move the animals back in there. So
Right.
it's gonna be double the cleaning process.
Yeah. Yep. And then the second, question, did you bring numbers this month?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we got some.
Okay.
To follow up on that, my name's Kimmy, I live in Belleville. We use a system at Gateway Pet Guardians that sanitizes kennels, and the contact time is less than 2 minutes. So for a dog to be removed, to get out of the kennel, be walked by a volunteer, if you guys have revisited that at all. Clean, doesn't need to be rinsed down, put the dog back in, especially since you guys don't use blankets or anything, that eliminates all of that. Have you guys thought about that at all anymore?
What do you do in 2 minutes? I'm not.
So it's called
I'd be
Wizzy Wash.
More
I
than
can give
willing
you-
to listen to that.
Sure, it's called Wizzy Wash. I can send you the information if you want. You hook it up to your hose, you spray it. It can be used around dogs, so it's safe for them. It disinfects within 2 minutes. You don't have to rinse it, and the dog can go right back in the kennel. Is that something you would be interested in? I'm sorry, what?
You still have to wash out the kennel before you do that.
Yeah, with soap and water. That takes less than 2 minutes per kennel.
I'll come over and watch you guys do it, how's that?
I would love to.
Awesome.
That's great.
Why don't Jim come over and watch you do it, so he can see that stuff.
Jim, if you
Yeah,
want,
what about Jim?
can you bring
Jim?
Jim?
Jim.
Jim and
Awesome.
board member.
I have a question.
Perfect.
Hi. I walked in a little late. I didn't want to be last listening. I'm a counselor and I work like nonprofit forever. And I guess I'm trying to understand, because I know like, for me, like, we have to have a treatment plan. We, we're, answered in Medicaid, state funders, we have audits. Like our funding is low, we're not doing, what we say we're doing. So what's the general, like, type of procedure as far as like who's overseeing, how do you be accountable? Well, just for the care of the animals, like, who oversees it? Like, I know my job, like Medicaid, pull my funding right away.
Department of Agriculture is who oversees this.
How often, like, who's got to sit with that? Is somebody
They have a guy that comes in, honestly, every 3-4 months. Is often as we see, because the state's cut back on everything. But, yeah, they're the ones that come in and check everything we're doing. Check our paperwork, make sure everything's in line with them.
Is that like somebody every 3 to 4? So day to day, like, I guess who would be your vet? Like, is there anybody you're answering to day to day?
The county board chair.
Marty Board and Mark Kern.
I have a question just based more on back to as far as the organization of getting the animals out. I know you said you do a lot of it by Facebook, or all of it. I found a cat in the middle of the road, brought it in. I didn't realize there was a chance that the cat could be put down, otherwise I would have taken it somewhere else. I like what you guys are doing. I actually adopted my dog from the adoption center. But as far communication between the employees seemed to be a little bit off. I was told if no one claimed it within 7 days, I could come back and get it, is what one girl told me. So I called in, I said, oh, okay, well, I'd like to have the cat. I found it, I'm kind of attached to this thing, even though I only held it for like 3 miles on the way to animal control. Then I called in, they said, no, it's not yours, you can't have it. Okay, that's fine. I'm not from here originally, so there are some rescues back home in Missouri. I contacted them, they said, yeah, we would love to take it in. They called or sent a message, I'm not sure. I mean, I can find out and get the call list or the message thread, anything like that. They never got a response. I went back a little while later because I called them and said, hey, has this cat been adopted or has it been sent to the adoption center? I went to the adoption center, they said, no, we don't have it here. Then I went over to animal control and I said, hey, I just want to know what's going on with this cat. Like, if, I have a place that wants to get it. They said, actually, and there was 4 different workers standing in there. You were actually gone that day. I believe it was a few Mondays ago. You were out sick. They said, well, sorry, that cat, this was on a Monday. They said that cat actually late Thursday or Friday afternoon went to a foster family. It's been sent to a rescue. The cat is fine. I felt consoled. I felt great. Okay, this cat is gonna get a new home. Okay, tell my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has a friend that works with a local rescue. She said, hey, guess what? Kitty got rescued. Kitty didn't get rescued. She said, no, this picture, no. She sent her the list that was cats that were on like red alert or whatever you call it. Yeah, for euthanization. And the picture was the exact one that I showed the people that day, just 2 hours before. It was a picture that was taken off of my Facebook whenever I posted on all the yard sale pages saying, hey, is this your cat? So, I mean, it was the exact picture, the exact cat. And I had 4 different people tell me, hey, this
And it
cat
was euthanized then?
No,
it was not.
It was not. It was sent out.
It was not euthanized, it was
But
sent to
I was lied to
rescue.
right there because
Okay,
it was up.
we had 9 cats that were available to be pulled by rescue. 2 of those cats looked the same, the one that you had brought in and another one that had left for rescue that afternoon. He was mistaken when he told you that it had left for rescue because I asked him the next day. Amanda contacted me via Facebook when I was at home sick and said, did this cat get pulled? And I said, no, it did not. It had been lined up to get pulled by rescue on Tuesday because I knew I was not going to be there to do the paperwork. So, when an animal comes into animal control, we never tell anybody that you can come back after the 7 days. I don't know who told you that, but, right, I talked to you whenever, but I talked to you when you brought the cat in and I explained to you that after 7 days, it would have to be pulled by a licensed rescue to be adopted. You gave me your name and phone number and I said I would pass it along to the information to the rescue.
All that. It's just, there seems like there was a lack of communication with everyone else, and I was very put out that I had someone that had called
And as far as that is, I have no idea if all messages come to my phone, I return all voicemails. If there's any rescues who contact, it comes to me. If there's a rescue who leaves a message on the adoption center's voicemail, that's fine.
But they shouldn't be coming to just you on your phone, on your voicemail. You guys need a system. That is not a system. That is a free.
All
and I
rescues
understand
come to
that.
me, and if I was
I
off
understand that, but you
day-
need a backup. If you're home sick one day, you need a
I run
backup.
everything up
And the thing
before.
is,
If I know, like, I didn't go home until 10:30 that day.
See,
I
this is
make sure-
defensive attitude again.
No,
I mean,
but-
seriously.
What I'm saying
What's
is-
wrong with saying you
Don't
need
do
a
it on the
backup
phone.
system
Yeah.
where everybody knows?
Let Ashley speak.
What's wrong with that?
Okay, but what I'm saying is I was there until 10:30 before I went home sick that day.
But you shouldn't be
So
there
I-
till 10:30 at night.
But I,
No.
10:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
I went home sick at 10:30 in the morning. I came in, made sure that all this stuff was done until I couldn't handle it anymore, and then I went home sick.
Then there's lies the problem.
But you shouldn't
Yeah.
have
There
to
should
do
be other
that.
things. If you go on vacation, you're allowed to take a break.
Then I arrange everything before I
But
go
they
on
should
Well, why
vacation.
not like a distribution list, like an email or something that's set up to where it goes to you and her and whoever else, so that there's backup.
If there's a rescue
Primary,
who,
I mean, that's basic business, and we do that at mine, we
Yeah.
work all the time, we have
If-
redundancy.
if there is a rescue who contacts me when I'm on vacation, I know I can call her, and Sheree will get the paperwork together so that.
That's not what
I'm
happened
saying,
here.
I'm sure you're doing a great job from what I've heard, you are doing a great job.
I mean,
But that still doesn't take into the fact that you have a county entity that's relying on one person to use their Facebook to
Yeah.
do that. It's not a knock on you.
Right.
It's
It's
just
a
that you should have a better system in
Yeah.
place. I get it that you're comfortable with it, but
I mean, we
it
just
should be more redundant than that.
We just have 2 people who work in the office, so I mean, if I'm not doing it, she's doing it when I'm not.
But it should go to you, her, and Jim.
But why?
That's
I'm
what
sure
should
if
go
that
to
ever
you.
happens.
Every rescue
Exactly.
that's
Jim,
pulling it
that's
comes
what
to
you
my
should
email.
Yeah, all the rescues who email us saying that they're pulling animals goes through Jim, and then Jim would give me the email saying that it's, you know,
So
the
it doesn't
approval
go
is
through
theirs.
you.
The
Trying to find
notification,
a
the
placement.
arrangements for that, yes. But we require every rescue to send an email to us stating that they are such and such person from that rescue wanting to pull such and such animal. And then we make sure that we have their 501c3 or their license on file before they can.
So you require them to email you, but you don't have an email address?
They email Jim.
This is, well,
But there's no way to track, like, if there's a problem, if something doesn't work out, you relying, part of that process is still relying on someone's personal email, or personal
well,
Facebook account.
and also, I mean, I'm a business owner. I mean, if I'm paying someone to be at work, I'm not gonna pay her to be at work on Facebook, even if that's where you're getting the business from. That doesn't seem like that is a reliable, I mean, yes, it is
not, and
reliable.
Facebook goes down.
Facebook can have glitches. Sometimes you don't receive messages. But also, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff besides just rescue sites on Facebook. I mean, I'm not saying that you spend other time on there, but I'm
It's
saying.
Messenger, so I'm not technically on Facebook, but I'm on my Messenger app, yes.
Messenger, no, there's no standard.
Well, I mean, I
just
understand that, but
That's kind of why we were asking for email.
Yeah, but county email is accountable to be audited if need be. If there's an issue where you guys are at fault for something and we're
Right.
inquiring about that, it's much easier to do that through a county controlled entity than it is through someone's personal Facebook
If
account.
something is being paid by the state, there's gonna be.
So I've been very, this is very touchy and sensitive to me because Ashley has always, I mean, this is why, you know, how we really started getting involved with the network and networking the animals off of the euthanasia list and supporting her in any way, shape, or form that we could. I feel like personally, and Jim told me at the last meeting that, you know, he doesn't know why, he doesn't know where I'm coming from saying that Ashley's not supported, and I guess my issue is Ashley gets more animals out of there per year than any other program in this facility. So her program gets out 1,100 of the 4,000 that came in there last year. That's a giant percentage of animals that are leaving that facility. So we're all giving props to the adoption center and doing all of that, which is great, but that's not what's saving the most lives in this in this entity. It's Ashley and her doing her job.
Yep.
That's one person
Yep.
relying on Facebook, relying on her cell phone to do those things. I have been asking Jim and Ashley for years that Ashley comes to this meeting. We start bringing more people and getting people riled up, Ashley's here. Ashley should have been getting props for 4 years before this, and she hasn't. And those are the things, that's the support that I'm talking about. She should, Ashley, whatever you can do to get 1,100 animals out, let's do it. She got recognized in numerous capacities over the past 12 months. Not one county board member, employer, anyone was there to recognize her for those things. This is huge. A lot of us came because their rescues pulled together and are doing all of these things. This is what's saving lives. This is what should be supported. We're trying to pull all these other things together, which is very important, but this is one aspect that should really, really, really be supported. And it's important, and it's life-saving, and she's doing a great job, and I see more support now, but I just think that it goes a long way. So there should be backup. So there should be a program in place. I run an organization, if there's something really successful, you put a program around it. So there's this person, there might be some people helping, there's this policy and procedure, whatever the situation is, those are the things that should be put in place because that's what's saving the lives out of that facility. Not the 400 that are being adopted every year, it's the 1,100 that are going to rescues. And that opens up a whole network of other things. So that's, again, I don't know what the answer is. If she doesn't want email, she doesn't want email. But there has to be other ways to just like give her the props that she needs.
I don't understand how we can make it work with like Sarah and Stacy and Allison and all of them who have jobs all day long who are using, I mean, they're using their Facebook Messenger too, and we have a group together where we network and we just communicate via
I get
that
it,
one.
and that's just one
and it's just
aspect
so
of
much
it.
easier.
I'm just saying, like, there should be,
You could still
you
do
know,
that.
there's so much that could be behind this to make it
Even better.
or not, and it's great. Like, I don't know how much better it can be, but just more organization and procedures and
and just
Support.
things.
Thank you,
I don't-
thank you. The big thing, I've been just sitting here, listening to everything. Oh. Peter from Swansea. It seems to me, just sitting back here objectively, that what you people need are policies and procedures. And it seems that this committee, you're responsible. You're not on here, you know, you were elected. You're responsible. This man isn't. You're responsible for his actions. What I'm telling you is you've got a railroad. He said he's responsible. That's great. But there's no conductor in the engine. There, I don't see any goal that's set. You need policies and procedures in order to make goals. You gotta find out, where do you want to be as an entity 3 years from now? You don't plan next month. That's flying by the seat of your pants. You need organization, you need a goal, and to get there, you need policies and procedures, which you lack. Thank you.
When the lady said a while ago that they told her, that, you know, she said when she brought that cat in, that if nobody took it, she wanted to adopt it, and she said you can't adopt it. How come nobody can adopt those animals they bring to you after 7-day hold and nobody claims it?
Because by law, we can only release them to a licensed rescue.
But you have an adoption center.
But yeah, but that's what I understand.
So why do I move it if you have a willing
Right,
adopter?
wherever this cat goes, if at all possible, can you send my name with it? I want this cat. I really don't even care for cats that much, but I was attached to it. I wanted that cat.
But I mean,
But
you
wait a
got
minute,
people
she
that want
went and
animals,
adopted it.
can't you take that animal to the adoption center and adopt it out to that person then?
If we have somebody that wants that animal, we try to make it happen.
Okay,
Here
it is right here.
Absolutely
not.
Not at all.
Not here.
I tried.
Harley is not the only person, because I had someone contact me recently, you know who I'm talking about?
No, but I have done it before too.
Someone who brought in a stray dog that he found, and he told whoever, I don't know who, said, if no one adopts this dog in 7 days, I wanna come back, and I wanna adopt this dog, and I will pay for everything.
And that's exactly what I told him, and he told
What I
me
did
no.
too.
And he went back, he checked on the dog every couple days. He went back after the 7 days was up, and he was told he could not adopt the dog. And the dog, and you might know what I'm talking about.
The doctor from
Yeah.
Penelope
Mhm.
Hospital.
The dog ended up having to go to a rescue for him to adopt the dog.
Exactly. We
But
sent
why
it-
couldn't it go, if he wanted to, wait. If he
But-
wanted to adopt it, why couldn't it go over to the adoption center? When you have people saying, I will take this animal, why not transfer them over to the adoption center? You don't-
Why didn't that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, normally we don't have a problem.
It doesn't
Most
sound like
rescue-
it should be,
no,
just, it's
Let him
No,
talk.
but what I'm saying is most rescues appreciate taking an animal that they know they have in a
why spend the money on
That's usually not a problem.
The rescues
Yeah,
are,
why
rescues
just
are
adopt
broken.
it? But if somebody wants an animal that found it,
Right.
and they're willing to wait, and then they can go to the adoption centre, then they can have the animal. You couldn't get much simpler than that.
And we've done that, we've done that.
But you
before.
don't, why is there, where's the
Let's
policy?
calm
Make it a policy.
Let that animal go to a
I think the correct response is, hey, there's some similar things that we've seen and that, you know, the situation is the same. How about I'll get with my team and we'll talk about how that won't happen again in the future. Instead of saying we do, you do, obviously you don't always. So let's use this, I mean, it's not just one person, if it was just one, I would say, hey, I gotta look into that.
We tell the people when they leave their name, we'll give their information to the rescue. Now, whether the rescue.
So when it's 7-day hold, nobody comes to collect the dog, and it's not go to the adoption centre. Why can't that person come and get the dog? Why are they told that they can't adopt the dog?
And we've done that in the past.
But you didn't do it here, so you need to address that with your staff, that's what we're saying. We're not saying you've never done it, we're just saying that if it's not happening in certain circumstances, you need to address that with your staff.
It's a lack of a policy. Again, he's right, you don't have a policy on what happens if someone walks in and they wanna adopt this animal after the 7 days is up if nobody claims it. Policy says, if you have somebody standing there that wants it, we move it to the adoption center and we keep the adoption fee. Why give the adoption fee to a rescue?
Yeah.
God bless them, I would gladly take the money, they would gladly, somebody would gladly take your money, but the county's housed that dog for 7 days now, fed it, taken care of it, and watched over it, maybe, hopefully.
We hope, okay.
Why not move it to the adoption center and take the adoption money for yourself? so the county can take care of that dog?
It might have been because it
Actually
was a
wants
pit
to
bull.
address this. There are a lot of people who call and say that they want to adopt the animals, that they, and I don't mean anything by anybody in particular. But there are a lot of people who say that they want to adopt the animals that they bring to animal control. After they leave that dog, and its 7-day time is up, they forget about that animal. If it goes to rescue, I had one just the other day a gentleman who had called and called and called. And we worked with him and we worked with him and we worked with him. We found a rescue to pull him. He wouldn't return their phone calls. They didn't have a place for him to go, but they said if you fill out this foster to adopt application, then yes, we will get it to you. Every single thing that he was asked was, well, what if? Well, what if? Well, what if? What if this animal is dog aggressive?
But that's one person.
But when I asked
That's one
him,
thing to thought through.
7 days, are you still interested in this animal, yes or no?
and they usually call within that 7-day time span, and on day 7, we say we'll transfer the information as soon as that goes. But Humane Society has taken 5 or 6 dogs in the last year who they would not normally take, and those people do not come back for those animals, so then they're stuck with a
So
dog
couldn't there be a
that they didn't have
procedure though,
room
is what
for.
I'm saying, like, call once, call twice, call 3 times, if that person, you know, if you've confirmed 3 times, then it moves, like, maybe it's just not a one-off.
I mean, I could see
Or
where that
have the
might
person
be better, but I mean,
there,
we
you
do
come
that.
up here to adopt the
Because
dog.
in this situation, that person
Come up.
called like a lot, right?
That's not the situation that we're talking about right here, right now. That doesn't address the
That's it.
issue.
Yeah, we don't need it, all we can say, what if they come, you come up here, you want the dog, you come up here to the adoption center. When they get there, you move the dog.
And like Jim said, maybe we can do that where we do a call once, call twice, call 3 times. If you don't want it, then we move on.
But the dog is not,
Exactly, a policy, not a
Then,
policy.
yeah, then we would.
Maybe
do
I
it.
have to work on that for next month's meeting.
Yeah,
Don't
and
put it
if
up
we would
to
have
one
meetings.
person.
Involve the rescue.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying, I'm saying we would contact, right,
Go
we
to
would
the adoption
contact the
center.
people who want the animal, and we would give them a 3-time try, and if that's the case, and they really want it, if we had run our adoption center, then we would move it to our
Okay,
adoption center.
so Jim is going to work on the issue of if somebody brings in a stray and they say they want the stray, and
After 7 days.
the animal is adoptable, then we'll move it to the adoption center as opposed to sending it to a rescue.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned a foster to adopt.
Pardon?
We had a rescue who was willing to pull it, but they didn't have space for it. They had to have him as a fosterer. He had to fill out an application to become a fosterer through their organization, and then he was going to adopt. He had the dog in his care for 3 days, and then didn't know if it got along with his animals or his
Like,
cat.
just things like
So it
that
was a
need
what
to
if,
at
what if.
least be addressed to the people as they come in.
And-
And I know I called multiple times to check on it, just say, hey, how's the little tabby cat doing? Just things like that, like it goes back to this gentleman saying the policies and procedures. I was never, you know, I mean, if, I'm sure any of the rescues that are in here, if you would have called and said, hey, I have someone that's willing to apply to be a foster parent for one. You know, stuff like that.
Here's part of the issue with the guys, they're not using chameleon system when the animal is dropped off at intake into the pick place. So say that you drop that animal off, ideally, it would be given a number right then and there and said, this is the animal that we checked in, this is the date, this is who brought it in. And then it goes into, then whoever, one of the 4 people that are in that facility, when you walk back in, can say, let me look that up. Your name is this, it attaches to this cat. Oh, that cat went to this rescue. There is, that's not happening right now because they're.
It's all done on little stacks of paper.
Well, I mean, when I was
Big
in there, they all knew.
For us to
They were the
get
one
that
that was stuff on
information
158. They all-
What?
Right, but they have this.
What information? Yeah, we don't disclose to anybody which rescue animals go to because
Well,
the
that's fine,
rescues
that's
didn't want
not
that
necessarily the
information,
point
but.
I'm trying to make. The point is that any employee could have gone into the system and seen exactly.
And know
that
which
that
cat was
safe
which.
or not safe.
Yeah, I mean, it just
All
sort of
on the
walking
same
back.
All right,
and
hey,
that
so hold
too.
on, let's do this, we get all mixed up. So, can we get a policy in a month? Me, you,
Yeah, I'll help you.
Who's 2 people that?
There you go.
Right there, we got a volunteer.
And I know how to do it.
Who's 2 people that wanna get involved? two names. You and you. Okay, so we're gonna meet, and we'll try to get a policy together by next month. Is that cool? Is that okay?
That's okay, as long as somebody tells me when to come up.
Okay, we'll work on a policy for this issue, okay?
There's just one thing I would like to have an answer when we all get together. If somebody brings a stray in to animal control, to adoption, I'm way back. Why don't you just let that person adopt the dog or the cat right there and be done with it? You don't have to
There may be an owner looking for, that's what the 7 days.
Oh, okay, the owner. You're not doing a
So
good
let's do
job.
that. Is that cool with everybody?
So are you guys
We'll
gonna get,
have something done by next month.
are you guys gonna give Mr. Trentman your name and number?
Oh, yeah. And Ashley.
Don't forget to give your name. Yep.
Okay, we have time for one more question and then we have to adjourn. And she's had her hand up for many minutes.
Okay, I have a couple issues, I'll go real fast. I worked in policy and procedures for the federal government. For 10 years, that's what I did, was write them for a huge contracting organization. I've been a contracting officer for 25 years, and now I'm a competition advocate for the agency. And when we do, as far as the law, you don't have to have, put it out for bid. I agree with her. You don't have to put it out for bid. I know those laws. We live by them daily. But you can put it out for bid. There's nothing stopping you to have either multiple vets that you work with, so you have backup, or only work with, you can write your solicitation, must have 5 vets on duty at all times. And you put your requirements in there, detailed requirements of what the vets are doing, and they bid on those. You can do all types of contracts in alternate ways. I won't even begin to go into it. There's nothing that says, I know you've been happy with Belleville Animal Clinic. I use Belleville Animal Clinic, and I've used them for many years. However, I'm rethinking after the last things I've heard. But I have no problem with Belleville Animal Clinic myself. But there's no reason you can't do a different type contract. You can't put it out for bid, and you can't have multiple ones on call if you have a problem. There's nothing stopping that. And, you know, as far as policy and procedures, I wrote them for 10 years, I understand them. We have huge policy and procedures for the federal government, which we have too many, let's put it that way. But I will also, if somebody wants them looked at or reviewed, I'd be happy to do it.
They have none, so that'll help with the right side.
They don't.
That'd be great.
They have
none.
I know, but they're gonna work on it.
Okay, we've been asking since February for that.
Could we get your name?
Gay Arnold?
No, could you, after the meeting?
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so, I apologize, many members have to attend other meetings that they're going to do as well. Jim's going to take back the, look into the criteria for dogs that are in medical care. They're going to, veterinary contract. They are looking into kennel sites for the outside, and still working on a cat issue for you, and we're gonna work on setting some policies and procedures up, and setting some goals for the future.
When you say policies and procedures,